Today, we're going to be looking at the DJI Mini 3 Pro. I still want to call it the Mini Pro 3. And we're going to be looking at everything from the specifications as leaked from the retail stores recently, looking at the highlights of that and really start to form an impression of what kind of drone we're going to be seeing here. We're going to look at the pricing as far as we know it. We've now got a fairly good idea of what to expect price-wise in Europe. We keep getting sort of rumors and leaks of different packs and buying the drone alone and this type of thing, but we'll come on to that when we talk pricing. We've got some great pictures of the drone itself, which we're going to look at to see what that also tells us in terms of the design of the drone. We're going to talk about the sub 250 gram part of it as well, because that's obviously important to us over here in the UK as far as the drone rules are concerned, and the fact that there is actually going to be a model with a heavier 47-minute battery being released as well, and how that will affect things in terms of the UK drone rules and all the freedoms that the sub 250 gram drones actually get, which is exciting. And then we're going to talk about our opinion on release date. We do have some separate information to what's been happening out there generally, not necessarily saying it's a different outcome from what everybody else is saying, but we do have slightly different information. Now, we have put a poll up on the live chat, as you can see at the top of the live chat there, which is asking, will you be buying the DJI Mini 3? We've already had 51 votes, so thank you for that. It seems at the moment the RC controller pack at 31% is the most popular, which I'm not really surprised. I mean, we've often, you know, adding the Mini 2 to the smart controller took forever and that type of thing. Having some kind of controller that's specifically designed to work with this drone is going to be very, very exciting. I'm also excited to see what else they do with that controller and etc. But that's all for the future, frankly. Now, we are going to be getting our hands on one of the RC controller packs very early on after release. So if you're new here, do hit that subscribe button if you want to hear about all of that. And again, we will be bringing you every piece of information we get running up to it. So let's have a look. Let's jump straight in and have a look at the specs. Now, these are the specs as released, as leaked really. It was a retailer's website, and people do sit looking at the code to break these things apart. So we've got a few slides here to run through, and then we'll move on to the pictures and the pricing. So as we know, it's going to be weighing less than 249 grams. Some of the wording here, as you can see, is slightly strange because it has been translated straight across from the Dutch. But obviously the fact that they are looking at it from the point of view that it is a sub 249 gram drone in terms of the regulatory benefits there as well. It's got a 1/1.3 sensor and what it describes as premium features. It redefines what it means to fly the Mini packed with performance. Well, I think we'll be the judge of that. The Mini 3 Pro has a completely new look, which it certainly does. It is a little bit of the ugly child of the group, as it were, but it's certainly been designed on function. It's certainly been designed on having a form factor that will look as really the looks are secondary from the point of view of the performance of the drone itself. Now, it's interesting that it's going to have larger propellers and the aerodynamic body tilt and a powerful obstacle detection system. So it seems like they've really taken the Mini 2, which is a fantastic drone, and looking at the form factor of it, they're looking to really move things forward as far as wind stability is concerned and that type of thing. But of course, also adding those all important obstacle avoidance sensors, which we will come on to. The redesigned gimbal offers a wide range of rotation for low-angle shooting and true vertical shooting, opening up endless creative possibilities. You've got to love these retail write-ups, haven't you, as far as what they actually say. Every aspect of this facelift has been carefully considered to take the Mini to new heights. Up next, capture and explore more of your surroundings with an extended flight time of up to 34 minutes, so only a little bit further than the spec of the Mini 2 as far as that's concerned. But then the DJI Mini 3 Pro's intelligent flight battery is ultra lightweight and has enough power to meet your aerial photography needs. It's interesting because the next slide talks about the 47-minute, the intelligent flight battery plus, which of course is going to take it over the 249 grams. But it's interesting that already with the Mini 2, there are a couple of different versions released worldwide. Of course, there's the normal sub 250 to 249 gram as marketed Mini 2, but there is also the Japanese version, which is 199 grams, that achieves that with a smaller battery. So essentially, they're kind of going the other way with this and offering it to the rest of the world as well. So really what they're saying here is that we're going to offer you a drone with the standard battery that is going to give you that 249 grams, but also we have a a ramped up battery, a souped up battery, that Intelligent Flight Plus battery, that's going to give you the 47 minutes of flight time. Now, in real world terms, we'll have to wait and see what that actually comes to in terms of flying it around with obstacle avoidance on and in sport modes without it and that type of thing. It's going to be very interesting to see those tests of that particular battery and what kind of flight times we're going to see out of it. But yeah, it's an interesting angle to go. I mean, certainly in the early days of the leaks and the early days of the rumblings of the Mini 3, a lot of people were talking about the fact that they wanted to see it staying under 250 grams for obvious reasons here in the UK and across Europe, as far as the fantastic extra benefits that we actually get for such small drones, frankly. Now, the 1/1.3 CMOS sensor has dual native ISO and supports direct output of HDR images. Enjoy the highest of standards of aerial photography with an aperture ratio of f1.7, which is decent. With more light available, your images will look lifelike even in low light. And the other marketing material that I've seen from the website leaks very much wants to talk about the performance in low light and the fact that this is a pro level drone, a pro DJI drone, in terms of the kind of quality of images and footage that you're going to be able to take out of it. So it's going to be exciting to see if they can come up with that. Now, this is one of the other parts of the spec that excites me. Not necessarily the 48 megapixel raw photos, because that might be not they might be cheating their way to that as such, but the 4K 60 on a sub 250 gram drone, I have to say, is going to be very, very exciting. So as it says, admire the rich clarity of every image even when you zoom in, or slow things down as the world gets hectic with dramatic 1080p 120 frames per second, which again, that's going to be a very, very useful mode for slow motion video. But the 4K 60 is something I am genuinely excited with this particular drone, and I think with all of the issues surrounding the DJI Mavic 3 launch and the fact that it wasn't C labeled, and obviously now we know with the consultation to extend the legacy period that it was never going to be, there was never a chance of it going to be seen as being a C labeled drone. I think that everybody has really moved on very quickly to be excited about the Mini 3, because we know it's going to be sub 250. We know the UK CAA are talking about that being indefinitely able to fly in the A1 subcategory, so basically be able to fly anywhere where the airspace allows. So it's an exciting time for sure. Okay, so the de-stealing light color mode provides more visual information, rich color options, and greater editing flexibility, which it will for sure. Again, very exciting, which is really starting to stamp the pro model on there. I don't know why my buttons aren't working here for a second. Sorry about that. So it's been fully upgraded to support active obstacle detection and stable video transmission. The tri-directional obstacle detection, DJI Mini 3 Pro, is without a doubt our safest Mini yet, which is interesting using the word safe with obviously all of the focus on drone regulations and drones being safe. I think a sub 250 gram drone is certainly going to be probably very, very safe to use, I would have to say already. But the fact that it's tri-directional obstacle detection is going to be interesting. There's a lot of talk in the blurb. There's a lot of talk in the hype of this drone about it being the very much the active side of obstacle avoidance. Not that they're going after a sort of Skydio position or anything, because they realize that their marketplace is very firmly within the camera drone market side of things, and people want full control of their drone. But certainly, from the point of view of being active and actually choosing an intelligent path. So I suppose active and intelligent are really the keywords that I've been hearing as far as the active track is concerned. So equipped with forward, backward, and downward dual vision sensors and all new aircraft design, it offers a wider detection range and improved safety. And this is where the blurb starts up again to say, did we mention APAS 4.0, which is exciting. Some people say RPAS with this and APAS. It's an interesting one. So the Advanced Pilot Assistant Systems APAS 4.0 detects objects in the flight path of the aircraft in real time. This allows the DJI Mini 3 Pro to dodge obstacles even in complicated environments, clear and stable from city to valley. So this is going to be interesting from the point of view of For me, obstacle avoidance on the Mini 3 isn't because I'm worried about crashing the drone. Personally, I always keep the drones within visual line of sight, etc. So I'm never really concerned about that. But it's the features, the follow me features and the automated features, that having the fact that it has those, the obstacle avoidance, and therefore DJI will allow the software to unlock things like master shots, etc., because it can detect where it is in the sky and it can detect the obstacles. That's one of the things that obstacle avoidance excites me about personally. So the DJI Mini 3 Pro features a flagship level video transmission system in DJI O3. So you can go to OcuSync and OcuSync 2.0 and OcuSync O3 Plus, and it is now just DJI O3. It provides a 1080p 30 frames a second live feed at a distance of up to 12 kilometers, which of course is the FCC version rather than the CE version. I think the CE version they're talking around about 8 kilometers, but still a 1080p 30 frames a second live feed at that kind of distance. In terms of people that use their drones within visual line of sight, that certainly gives you the confidence that even with the sort of penetration of Wi-Fi signals, buildings close by, that type of thing, other interferences, that actually you're still going to get a good strong live feed. So that's exciting. Yes, as XJet Bruce says in the chat, 12 kilometers is almost the limit of line of sight. Almost, Bruce. I think you can, with your super eyes, you can still see it actually. The DJI RC N1 remote controller or the DJI RC is going to be available with this. So we're going to be looking at the controller that we're used to with the Mini 2, with the Air 2S, etc., but also that video screen sort of sexy controller as well, which is almost like a smart controller light, although I don't want to call it that because some of the specs does seem to be quite interesting. And as it says, both controllers offer a maximum video bitrate of 18 Mbps delivered with an ultra low latency of 120 ms, which is, you know, these are decent specs, it has to be said. Now, this is going to be one that's going to frustrate those that do not like vertical video, although I'm kind of a little bit vertical video myself today. Shooting real vertical, let's try that again in portrait. Switching between landscape and portrait with one tap. The camera's redesigned gimbal rotates 90 degrees, so you don't have to compromise on image quality. True vertical shooting gives you detailed shots instantly ready for social media. Now, I'm not a fan of vertical video, but if you do shoot TikToks, if you do shoot Instagram videos, etc., if vertical video is the thing that is the media that you work in, this is fantastic because, of course, you're not going to have to sort of line up the shot and think, okay, I'm kind of where I want to be as far as getting a decent vertical shot here. You're going to get it. The pure vertical shot from the camera. So this is going to be very, very popular for social media creators for sure. And as it says, find creative ways to track your subject with Focus Track. This includes Active Track 4.0, Spotlight 2.0, and Point of Interest 3.0, 3 powerful storytelling tools. So again, it's the sensors, the collision avoidance sensors that are giving us all of these really, really great sounding features, frankly, which is the exciting part of it. Because as I say, I don't need obstacle avoidance, hopefully not to crash, although I am doing a lot of flying tomorrow, so hopefully that doesn't give me a bad omen. And master shots, which is a real game changer for any budding aerial photographer. Just select your subject and the Mini 3 Pro performs a series of professional maneuvers and then generates a short cinematic video. And there's a good reason it's a fan favorite. It's certainly popular with a few of my friends who use the Mavic 3 and enjoy master shots immensely. Not something I personally choose to fly in manual modes where I can, although I do like doing orbits, etc. with the auto modes. Ready to share your creations right out of the box. The Mini 3 Pro, this is exciting as well, especially for people on the go. The Mini 3 Pro supports super fast Wi-Fi downloads of up to 30 Mbps, and I think that's actually a really great feature. Which again, especially with the vertical video generation, we can't really call them millennials anymore, can we? But the vertical video generation and those, you know, TikTok type personalities, I think that's actually going to be pretty cool. And digital magnification, this is something that we're used to. Get closer to your subject with 4 times digital zoom. It allows you to capture scenes without disturbing them and explore shots from afar. It'll be interesting to see if they improve the digital zoom at all. It's not really something that you can use too much in terms of really sort of, you know, using it within cinematography projects, etc. But, you know, it is still decent. Okay, so next up, we're going to be looking at some of the pictures that have been out there for this, and just having a look at what those pictures tell us about what the drone is going to be like. But very, very quickly, just a very quick update on our poll, which is starting to swing around a little bit, actually, with 79 votes at the moment. Will you buy the DJI Mini 3? We've got 30% now, which is in second place with yes, RC controller pack. 33% saying not sure, and 19% saying nope, we'll miss this one out, and the basic package at 19% as well. So that's interesting, personally. Andy Cortez saying it'll use the Fly app like the others, so some form of social media streaming will be available, even if it's just YouTube. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't expect to see a different app being used for this one. I completely agree with you there, Andy, who is our senior moderator. Good to see you, Andy. Okay, let's look at some pictures, shall we? We've gone through a lot of text there. So here we have the a pretty straight shot head on. Now you would have seen with a lot of these leaked photos, we've got these little white stickers everywhere, which that's actually covering one of DJI's anti-leak precautions, where they now print the number of the tester on the arms and on the back and that type of thing, etc. Which, you know, is it an anti-leak thing because you can cover it up with stickers? But I believe that's one of the purposes that it actually exists for. But as you can see, the gimbal is being dealt with, being handled in a very different way. You've also got the vents right behind the gimbal and camera, taking obviously air in to help cool things down. And you've got those oh so delightful, almost VW Beetle looking obstacle avoidance sensors at the top there on both sides. As recovery drone is saying, Dre, good to see you. No legs, landing gear. It's got the little feet, tiny little feet on the sides there. Again, it's going to be interesting to see from the point of view of antennas, etc., because obviously so many of the drones have had, the DJI drones have had the antennas in those front feet. But also, this is the first angle actually that starts to show some of the design features that I'm quite excited about. Those are some big propellers. But if you look at the angles of the four arms, especially the two at the back, they kind of come up. It sort of comes up and around a little bit, which is quite exciting because it's going to have quite a good profile in the air, I think. And I think this will help it in terms of stability and in terms of being able to handle that extra wind, frankly, which is very cool. And again, you can see that again from the back. And you have the SD slot, you have the USB-C, you have the power button and indicator on the top back there with the little DJI logo as well. And the quick release buttons on the bottom at the rear there on the sides for the battery to come out. So the battery isn't going to be in behind a door this time. So it's going to be much more like I suppose like the Mavic 3 really. And here we have a zoomed in picture of the image of the front of the drone. So again, you can see the placing. This time it's folded, which is where it really does start to look quite ugly. And you can still start to see the placement of the obstacle avoidance sensors there as well. This is quite a good picture in terms of size. You can see the iPhone there and also the pencil holder bin behind it. So you can see it is again going to keep its form factor as far as its size is concerned. And again, you can see the downward facing sensors there. So you can start to get a picture of how things are going to work. Yeah, Ellis Mean wondering how the filters would fit on that. It will be interesting, but the filter companies are always coming out with some amazing products. And of course, DJI releasing their own ones as well now. So I think they would have thought of that. XJet is wondering, is it smaller when you use an Android phone? Have to wait and see. And again, this is another good angle because it shows again the really sort of awkward looking, but obviously aerodynamically sound angles that the arms are coming out at, and even the motors are very slightly tilted from the levels and the directions that the arms are pointing. So I think that's a really interesting thing. I've got a feeling it's going to fly extremely well. And just another folded up version picture there, and a top down shot, which again showing some more of the vents and more views of sensors, etc. But again, those propellers do look chunky, so it's going to be interesting. I've been hit by the propellers of a Mini 2 a few times. I'm not sure I want to be hit by those Mini 3 propellers, frankly. And again, a rear view there showing the battery. Yes, Andy's saying you won't be able to use the other Mini 2, the Mini 2 batteries, etc. So no, absolutely. But again, this is a completely new model. And a side-on angle there. Again, you can see the quick battery release buttons, etc., and how it's going to sit on the floor. Not much clearance in terms of the gimbal, so you have to make sure that you do land squarely and safely by the looks of it. But again, in its obviously that's something the drone itself handles, so I would expect it to almost perhaps land at a small angle. And there we have a few others. And so, yes, this is where somebody has, now this was on the Deals Drone Twitter account. There's a link to his Twitter account in the description. But this was obviously somebody weighing it. We've got no idea if those scales are calibrated or anything else like that, but it's an indication. It's a rough indication. 245, you would expect there to be a little bit of wiggle room for things like SD cards and filters and that type of thing. So it's not too surprising to see a few grams, but also not too surprising that it's getting right up there, frankly. Here we have some photos from Chinese social media showing the drone actually in flight. And again, you start to understand the form factor here, and you start to see how things actually... sorry, Bruce is making me laugh there, saying the scales looking happy, because they do have a little smiley face on them, which I think is quite cute use of the buttons, actually, personally. But yes, back to the form, and it does look good in the sky. I have to say, the way it's tipped with the sensors there, etc. We don't know obviously if this is in the middle of flight, as in if there's any stick movements going on. But I do like it, and you can see the gimbal there pointing acutely downwards, which is cool as well. And then on the right hand side, you can see the aircraft in a landed position. Now this is an exciting part of it. We have this another new screen controller. I'm excited by this. I don't want to talk too much about the rumored specs, etc., because I'm hearing some very different things from some very reliable sources. So we'll wait to see what happens in terms of HDMI out and that type of thing. But it is exciting. The only thing I have to say is that I'm not sure about having the sticks above the screen. I don't know about everybody else in the chat and those watching the replay, but having the sticks above the screen isn't. I'm not, as I say, I'm not 100% sure. I'm completely okay with that. I do have quite large fat hands, as you can see, and you know, having my hands across the screen onto the sticks, I'm not sure. But again, I'm very excited to see it in action. It's great that the small drone of the series, the smallest drone of DJI, is going to have something like that, frankly. And that's just a little zoomed in picture showing the motor. And there we have a slightly blurry shot of the standard looking package. So you've got the RCN1 controller, the drone itself, and obviously gimbal cover, battery, spare screws, screwdriver, spare props, and the usual cables that you would expect. So that's the rundown of the pictures that we have at the moment. One thing that I've had people ask me a lot about, again, is the sub 250 gram drone side of things. So as I was saying, you will find that the drone itself is going to be compliant with the UK rules. As it stands, it's how heavy the drone is when it takes off. So if you have that standard battery in there and it's under 249 grams, you're golden. You can fly it anywhere you can currently fly your Mini 2, that's a Mini 3 then. If you then want to either fly it with an A2 CFC in the congested area in the UK, or you want to go out into the A3 airspace, so out into the countryside, you can whack that longer flight time battery in and you are golden. But obviously with that larger battery and therefore over the 250 gram, you're going to have to watch things like intentional flights over people. So yeah, that is definitely one to consider. So going back across here, excuse me while I move my buttons down a little bit. Looking at the pricing, and the only one, these are the price levels that are being passed around. You've got the drone with the standard battery 739. That there will be a separate Fly More kit at 189 euros. The RC1 controller with the kit at 829, and the RC controller at 999 euros. The only one of these that I've really seen any firm confirmation of that I'm 100% on is the drone with the RCN1 controller at 829, 839 euros. I've seen that now enough times and had that information passed to me enough times by reliable sources that I am starting to believe in that particular price, frankly. Now, release date. This isn't a date that's going to particularly surprise many people. The speculation plus the retailer information that I've gained myself, so the information passed to Geeksvana, is that this is going to be on the 10th of May 2022. We're hearing that there is good stock availability in the UK and in the EU already, so I would certainly assume therefore the US is going to have good stock availability. It does appear that they're waiting, basically. It does appear that they're actually waiting, that they are ready for this launch, and they're going to have the units ready to rock and roll, basically. So that's an exciting one. I think the 10th of May is it's not too far to wait, is it? There were previous dates. Whether or not you can say that they were delayed, I'm not entirely sure in my opinion, because again, I hear different things in terms of that. But the 10th is something that I am very much hearing in positive terms. So that's it. That's the information that we have for you today. Let's have a look at our poll quickly. 98 votes, and the winner at the moment, which we'll click end the poll on that, is looking like it's the not sure, which again, I think that's a very sensible line to take. I'm probably going to get one. Well, I am getting one very quickly after launch, but that's obviously because I have a YouTube channel, so I have a value there. Otherwise, I would wait to see it. I think what's happened with the Mavic 3 would make me just a little bit hesitant in terms of waiting to see what happens there. Let's have a little look at what people are saying in the chat. Again, I really appreciate having such a large crowd in. Thank you very much for coming along to support us today. I really do appreciate it. Land Rover Lover 166 says, hello, YouTube. Well, hello to you, Land Rover Lover 166. And yeah, Nick Cooper 999. That's what I paid for the Mavic Pro some years ago. Wow. Yeah, I mean, from Nick Cooper, it's an interesting one. We obviously have a cost of living crisis as far as the fact that prices are going up. COVID with chip shortages, everything else like that has caused tech prices to increase as well. So I'm not too surprised at the pricing levels. It is also, even though it's a sub 250 gram drone in its standard form, it is also a lot of drone for the money, frankly.